Hey you, it's True with a review of the upcoming Storm Snow White. Yes, this iconic Evertale character is back and she brings 2 execute skills to the table. Looks a bit like an upgraded Storm Antares with poison on top. However, she does come with a lower speed of 323. Her first active skill is called Poison Apple, gives 2 spirit, costs 70 time units and targets 2 enemies. If those enemies are poisoned or have 100 or more time units, damage dealt is 500% and all non-poisoned enemies hit are granted super poison. So this is a very strong poison devourer slash time strike slash super poison strike 2 skill. Definitely not bad to start things off. Snow White's second skill looks very similar to Dark Lancelot's Toxic Shot. Both are instant, however I slightly prefer this one as it grants 1 spirit, but as the name Toxic Stun Random suggests, the targets are actually random. So 2 random enemies will be stunned for 100 time units and granted the Mega Poison status effect for 200 time units. On top of that, she is also granted a Sleep Ward, Snow White that is, and this skill becomes locked after use until the user uses another active skill. So that is not a fixed time unit lock, but kind of a combo skill that she can use every second time without fail. And then I did promise you 2 execute skills, so they have to be the 3rd and the 4th skill. And the 3rd skill is Deadly Magic. A spirit neutral skill that just costs 50 time units, deals 600% damage to 1 enemy and ignores effects of non-boss enemies that would prevent the target from being defeated. On top of that, it heals all allies below 50% of max HP for 100% of their max HP, so that is a full heal for all allies on the field that are below 50%, including Storm Snow White. And it is also only usable if at least 1 ally on the battlefield has less than 50% of max HP, so that is the big requirement right there. It is kind of a team desperate execute skill with heals attached to it, with a huge damage output, however not ignoring anything except these kinds of survival passives. But the TU are really low, there is no spirit requirement, the heals are very nice. A lot to like about this skill. And then we have her final skill, which is called Survivor's Crash. But before you get worried, she actually doesn't need to survive for 300 time units to unlock this one. It is just 150 time units, which makes a lot of sense since time units definitely more than halved on the new units compared to the beginnings of Evertale. This one costs 2 spirit and 100 time units, so not too cheap. However, it also deals 600% damage to 1 enemy, and besides ignoring the survival passives, so being an execute skill, it also ignores enemy damage reduction effects. So if Snow White is facing an equally leveled unit that is not a guard, this attack I think should take them out. Maybe earth units are a bit of an exception there with the elemental disadvantage. Moving on to the passives, her first one is Ready to Serve. She is immovable. She gets a poison ward, a sleep ward and a stun ward at the beginning of a battle or when she enters from reinforcements. And then we see another awakening scaling. So this one has 15% damage reduction from attacks plus 15% per awakening. So that is up to 75% if Snow White is fully awakened. But this is only until Survivor's Crash is unlocked. So this is only for the first 150 time units. Of course, the damage can be huge. Her survival in this time is very, very much increased. And this is especially nice when we look at her second passive. But first, there is a replacement coming in when Survivor's Crash is unlocked, and that is that her time unit costs reduce by 40% at this point Quicken do not stack on that effect, but that is still huge. Think about it. Deadly Magic, an execute skill that deals 600% damage, 30 time units. Survivor's Crash, which has a base cost of 100 time units, will never cost 100 time units, because once she unlocks this skill, it will go down to 60 time units. So that kind of puts that into perspective as well, since the 100 time unit cost looks a bit high at first, even considering the very strong nature of that skill. Her second passive is called Electrotoxin. Gives her a hold ground and gives her a super poison stun skin that is not a skin passive skill. This will be very hard to ignore for enemy units. The nerf that comes in here, so that Zigzag can argue that this is not a skin passive skill, is that she needs to survive the attack that she takes damage from with more than 1 HP to trigger the effects. Which is where especially the armor that she has in the beginning, the kind of 75% armor if she is fully awakened, is very, very nice, because this, unless we are dealing with an armor ignoring attack, should secure that these effects trigger. And what are the effects? It is a stun all skin, and yeah, again, it's not a skin technically, but yeah, just like Storm Antares, if she gets hit, she will stun all enemies for 50 time units. Very nice if the enemy doesn't have a stun absorber. And on top of that, it also super poisons all enemies. I actually don't think we have seen a super poison all skin before. And this effect also doesn't run out like Storm Antares' survival stun skin that ended after 300 time units. This one, even after she unlocks the survival skill, will continue to work. However, of course, afterwards, she will no longer have that kind of nice armor. And so incoming attacks more often than not could trigger the kind of hold ground. And that's already her entire skill set. There is a lot to like about this Storm Snow White, and I could see it go very high in my database rankings on the arena. Also especially very useful in war potentially. There are two concerns though that I want to mention. One is her survivability. Yes, she comes with the very big armor in the beginning. We already saw big armor on units like Earth Cleopatra as well. They still didn't make it super high, and that armor isn't even something that runs out, although to be fair, Earth Dark Cleopatra is much more vulnerable to burn and loses the armor due to that. But yeah, here after this armor runs out, so after 150 time units, she just basically has the kind of normal hold ground, and so will be very vulnerable to any kind of poison, any kind of burn. Besides executes, of course, always a concern. And then she doesn't quite have any kind of damage reduction if she's not on the field with other units that provide her with that kind of damage reduction, which could be a very, very nice combination to ensure that her non-skin skin kind of triggers and helps her survive. Because the only form of healing in her skill set is basically in her Deadly Magic execute skill, which can be nice, of course, because Deadly Magic has such low time units and is really great for what it does, doesn't cost any spirit, all that good stuff. But it does mean that she needs to get a turn when she's under 50% of HP to actually heal, and she needs to be awake during that time. Yes, she can get the sleep wards. She starts with a sleep ward, but compared to some or many other of the recent top units, she doesn't have an ability to passively get the turn somehow. Of course, that would kind of make her skill set even more overpowered. But yeah, I think this is where she is slightly lacking. Other than that, I already mentioned it, Deadly Magic, absolutely insane, really great skill. Also kind of an ally support skill, and also something where it's nice if you have actual hold ground plus units in your team that help her unlock this skill without dying. Given the kind of super poison, stun, all skin. It is kind of nice, I think, to run her in a guardless build, maybe together with somebody like Avatar Ludmilla, possibly together with somebody like Storm King Arthur and Cthulhu, two of the other top poison or stun units respectively right now. Also, of course, a very good pair for the other recent poison stun release, Dark Lancelot. And so I can wholeheartedly recommend this unit for anyone running a poison stun or poison stun team as a main driver in your team. But I would even go so far as to say any team not revolving around sleep or burn could find very good value in using her. Looking at her skill set, there is some value if you just pull one copy of her, but in general I don't very much like this for her, so I would really recommend either to go all in on her, go for that full awakening, or skip her entirely. 2 of the 3 previously released Snow Whites were top 5 units, so let's see where this one ultimately lands. Hope you enjoyed this preview. Let me know your thoughts about Storm Snow White in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to become a true carrot. And as always, thanks for watching.